Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Interview Podcast.
I am your host, Jennifer Moss, and with me is my co-host,
Derek Miller.
And together, we have decided to start a podcast, and as Derek previously said, it is called the Interview Podcast. And it is kind of a play on the word interview because the purpose of this podcast is to interview the real you. But before we get into some of those episodes, we thought it might be a good idea to explain a little bit of who we are, your hosts, and what our vision and our goals are for doing this podcast so that you have a little bit of a clue on what is going on. So,
well, Jennifer, really, this kind of starts with you. So you were pretty much kind of the person that kicked this off. So why don't you break it down kind of how this all came about?
All right. So basically, I have wanted to start a podcast for quite a few years now. Main reason is I love to talk. I thought, what a great gig if you could do something that you get to talk. And I also love people, getting to know them, getting to build relationships. And so it had been something that had been on my mind for a long time, but I never had really a path or a goal of what I wanted to do. What kind of topic should I do? Who would I do it with? Because I wanted to have a co-host. Equipment, getting all the stuff that you need to record, all the details of that. I'm not a techie person, so I didn't know a whole lot about how that would go down. So it was just an idea, just a thought, something I would have loved to do, but never had the chance to. So it would have probably been a year or so ago. I was still thinking about it, and I approached Derek at one point, and I was like, Derek, would you like to be a co-host on a podcast? And tell me then what your thoughts were when I asked you that.
Oh, honestly, I was like, yeah, sure. It's something I had thought about before, but had never pursued. I probably hadn't thought about it as seriously as you did. So when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, are you kidding me? And me and Jen are just very honest with each other, and I feel like we can banter back and forth pretty good. So I was like, you know what? I think people wouldn't mind seeing that duel on the mic. So and honestly, we're great friends. So I was leaping at the opportunity, I guess you could say.
So that got me excited because Derek is great. I needed somebody or wanted somebody to co-host with me who was good at speaking and interesting, and that we could work well together. And so when he said he was in, then it was the process of figuring out, well, what do we want to talk about? What do we want our vision to be? That was a little bit harder to figure out. We knew we wanted to do it, but
we had some squabbles there.
Yeah, we didn't really know exactly how we wanted it to go because we wanted there to be a purpose so that people would know what they're getting into.
Right.
We don't want people to come on and well, I have no idea what I just listened to. But we also didn't want it to be too streamlined to where it only fit one demographic or only fit one what's the word
niche
I want?
Or yeah.
I don't know what the word niche means. We didn't want it to only appeal to one group of people.
Sure.
We wanted it to be kind of broad. So basically what we came up with was we wanted to interview people. We wanted to have people come on to our podcast to where we could hear a little bit of their story. And some of should I get into this, Derek, some of the purposes of what the podcast is?
Sure, full send.
Okay. So one of the things we want to do is we want to get to know people, individuals on a deeper level. We want to give them a platform and a space to share some things that maybe they don't have a place to share them at, or maybe a lot of people don't know. And some of those things might be different skills they have, maybe skills no one really knows that they have, some of their passions and their goals, and then also different nuggets of wisdom or things that they have learned that they could share, because we want it to be encouraging too. I think that bringing life to people is something that God calls us to, and I think that this could be a space where people could, through their stories, bring that life to our listeners. And so we wanted to have that platform where people could be valued and highlighted in their journey, in their life, and also through that spread some of that joy, wisdom, encouragement to the people that are listening. So kind of a twofold purpose there. And then do you want to share anything more? Or I have a few other things here too, but I don't want to take up.
No, you're good.
I talk a lot, so this is poor Derek's going to have to jump in.
I'm interviewing Jen in this episode. This is the way it is. No, I don't mind at all. Yeah, I would say that I think all of us in our lives, we really appreciate when people take time to ask us good questions and like actually like care and want to know about our lives. So it's like I think this is an opportunity to hear people's. I'm really excited. I'm passionate about like people's dreams and passionate about what people are passionate about. I think so often we can maybe dismiss those versus like, okay, here are my passions, Lord. Where do you want me to walk out these passions? And just kind of giving an opportunity for people to share, and then maybe even encouraging them to take some steps toward that action. And just kind of cultivating that kind of a thing. That's something I'm really excited about this podcast. And also, like, I'm a big quotes guy, like wisdom guy, little truth nuggets. So anything, I know each person in their life experiences has wisdom or has like stuff they've learned that I think people can benefit from. So that's another thing I'm really excited about. Before we jump ahead, Jen, the name. Why don't we touch on the name real quick?
Okay. Well, I still had a few things about the purpose yet, and then we'll jump to that. That's fine. And something that really, I don't want to get anything too sad, but when this past year, Derek and I and people here at our church, we lost a really good friend in a motorcycle accident. And I remember thinking it was at his funeral and in the weeks after that, there was so many things that people shared about him, that the impact that he had that no one really realized. And that really got me to thinking about how many people that we know and that we interact with on a daily basis, but there's so much about them that we maybe don't realize. Things that they do and that their giftings are and that they're passionate about and their dreams they have. And I was like, why do we not share this more? Or could we create a place where people would have the opportunity to share that? And so, and also valuing and not taking for granted the people that you have, the people that are around you. So that's another kind of inspiration for the purpose of this podcast. We also love to have fun. We love to laugh. And so we will have some fun interactive segments with a lot of that. And we're excited about that part. But yeah, I really want it to be uplifting, bring life and encouragement to our daily lives. Just hearing from the people that we know or that maybe you guys know, maybe you don't know, and learn from that. So what Derek was referring to, the name, interview, I'm already getting long-winded.
Keep rolling, girl.
So we were trying to figure out what we should call this podcast, and I was sitting in my desk one day, which we will explain a little bit about our jobs so that makes sense to you, but I was sitting in my desk and I was just thinking about, okay, I know we want to interview people, so what could we call this podcast? So it just kind of hit me. I was like, break down the word, and we could say inner view. And so what that name means is we are kind of getting the inside scoop, the interview of you and whoever we're interviewing of our guests, and seeing more than just the service level, more than just the basic stuff, actually kind of getting the interview in our interview. So that's kind of where the name came from. And yeah, I think we like it.
We do. I was like, it was kind of like really quick genius, like, because all of a sudden she like said that and I was like, oh shoot, I think that might be the name. And earlier on I was like, what about, I came up with like the dive. And I was like, because, you're like diving into people's lives. But I was like, people are going to think of swimming and, Michael Phelps.
We didn't want people to think that we were athlete swimmers because,
even though
let's
some
be
of us
real,
are.
I doggy paddle. I don't even know how to swim. Not correctly.
Jen would not be in for the dive.
So, but it's hard. Coming up with a name is hard. But we like it. We think it's going to be good to kind of encompass what we're trying to do. So we're really excited about it. And we're glad for any of you guys that listen, all 10 of you that listen to this podcast.
Yep.
But even more, we're excited to do it. Just the opportunity to meet different people and interact with them through the podcast and talk about cool stuff and have a good time. So that's kind of the purpose and the point of why we're doing this podcast. And hopefully that will give you guys direction just to know what you're listening to.
Right.
It could go a lot of different ways.
It could. A couple things to expect, though, maybe on the lighter side, is like we are planning to do some hot takes. So anything controversial. Heather Schleybaugh had a massive hot take the other day that we talked about the sneezing thing.
Oh, you're
right.
So
we'll address that in a future episode.
We'll have her on.
I literally had to stop myself from yelling just because I was like, is this actually real? Like, she's actually convinced of this? So anyway, but cooler heads prevailed. We're all mature.
Yeah.
And so that and some Christian pickup lines. Guys, I tell you what, there is a lot of great lines out there. And fellas, trust me, if you don't use some of these, it's not my fault if you're not dating someone. So I'm just saying, we're going to give you
neither of us
some
are dating,
opportunity.
and
I know.
they haven't helped us yet, but we haven't used them.
You see,
So
that's what I'm
that's the
saying.
problem.
So
We're single because
we're
of
preaching
that.
to ourselves.
Yeah.
We really need to use these.
For sure.
So we have some of that, and so we'll be providing that, and I hope it's a blessing to you, honestly.
Okay. So should we transition into a little bit about us so people know who we are? We'll make this quick, but we figured you might want to know, if you don't know who we are, get a little insight into that. So my co-host, his name is Derek Miller, as he said. So I'm going to ask him a few questions to get a little bit of insight into who he is, who you're listening to, who you're dealing with here. So Derek, where are you from? Where do you live? And if were born in a different place, share that.
I am currently from North Carolina. I was born in Ohio, Millersburg, Ohio. We moved when I was 5. No, I'm sorry. We joined the ministry when I was 5. We moved when I was 6.
What ministry is that, Derek?
Gospel Express Ministries.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know. Yeah, the ministry's pretty broad. So pretty much early on, we didn't travel like right away, but then very much like my growing up, my teen years, young, we were traveling a lot, which was great, and we're still traveling today. And so I really enjoy it. Very, very blessed. It's been an unbelievable journey, and I've been full-time now as the development manager for Gospel Express for about a little over a year. The last March would have been the first. So that was a different step. I had done masonry and fencing and in my past working career. And I was kind of like, Lord, like, I'm grateful to be where I'm at. But I also felt like I was ready to move. And so I was like, Lord, do I like step out and do stuff, or do I just like keep chilling here and like being okay, finding contentment and being totally okay with where you're at currently and not rushing ahead into things? Because I'm very much enjoying where I'm at now. But yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I wouldn't trade the road life, honestly. I wouldn't trade it. So yeah. So Jen, back at you.
Well, do we want to finish you first?
Oh, do we want to just do that? We can do that.
That way people
That's
don't
fine.
get confused. If you're fine with that.
It's a good
So
idea.
you already mentioned that, you've been living in North Carolina most of your life. You work with Gospel Express Ministries, and you alluded to traveling. So does your family. Just maybe introduce your family real quick of who they are, so we know.
Dave and Ruth Ann Miller, that's our parents. They grew up in Holmes County there. Then I'm the oldest. Then I have a sister, Deborah. She is married to Corbin Burkholder. They live in Napanee, Indiana. They're expecting their first child. Yeah, what?
Love babies.
Yeah, yep. And and then it's my brother Eugene, and then my brother Kyle, and my youngest sister Grace. So there's 5 of us total. And yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool. North Carolina is awesome. It's a good place to live. And then you also mentioned a little bit about your jobs that you work with Gospel Express now. And so you touched on that. And then, and you shared your current job title. Do you have anything interesting about you?
I do.
I was trying to ask Derek without asking in the mic if he has anything before I tell him that.
Yeah, you can
Something
just ask
unique
me
or interesting
outright.
about Derek.
Yes. Sorry. In my job title, I'll break down a little bit what I do. Development manager is a little bit broad, but basically I run the social media, YouTube channel for Gospel Express. I work with all our fundraiser committees and then do some international work with water wells, shelters, donor communication, that kind of a thing. But yes, sorry.
He wears a lot of hats.
I try.
Crushing it.
Thanks. So something unique, a hobby or a skill. I am actually... I guess I'm a low-key, high-key cowboy. Low-key, high-key, that didn't really make sense. But I actually enjoy...
He loves a good roping.
I do. If I can watch some roping, if I can go do some roping, it's pretty sweet. Honestly, I've been able to go on a couple cattle drives out in Colorado, which is pretty amazing. The cows are up in the hills. You got to go up and get them on horseback. Got to find them. So being able to do that, I've learned to rope a little bit. And so I guess that's something that, like, I'm not, like, quiet about it, but maybe... It's not really a hidden thing either, but So that is something I actually really enjoy and would be awesome to have some horses in the future and a little mini ranchette or something. We'll see what the Lord has there. So yep.
Cool. That's awesome, and he does like horses. I'll vouch for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Derek. Well, that's a little bit about him, Derek Miller. Excited to have him as a co-host on this podcast and see where it all takes us. So hopefully, if you have any questions for Derek or you need to know more about him, just reach out to us on our Instagram page, which is at the Interview Podcast.
Boom.
And we would love to answer any questions that you have. We can answer them on the podcast or to you directly.
So, Jennifer, now it is your turn. So, where are you from? And where are you from? Who is your family? And a little bit of backstory of previous jobs or places you've lived.
All right, I will rush through this because no one wants to be bored by my life. But I'm originally from Maryland, a tiny little town in Western Maryland called Accident. And a lot of jokes about that, obviously. And I grew up there till for most of my life, and my family's all there. Mom and dad are Glenn and Rachel Most, and then I have 5 siblings. I won't introduce all of them, but Jeremy, Janelle, Jordan, Jeffrey, Janessa.
But
Gotcha.
Well.
3 of them are married, and I do have 2 little nieces and 2 little nephews. So I am very excited, love being an aunt. And they all live in Maryland except for my oldest brother, Jeremy. He lives with his wife and 2 little girls in Lancaster, Pennsylvania currently, and he's a pilot there. So that's what took them to Lancaster. Otherwise, everyone's in Maryland. I moved out to California when I was 24 and lived there for a year. And then from there, I moved to North Carolina and took a job managing a restaurant here in town. And I absolutely fell in love with North Carolina. Love it here. It is gorgeous. The weather's perfect, and the scenery and the town, the community. The church. I really, really love it. So I ended up finishing out my time at the restaurant and heading home to Maryland for last summer to help my dad with his business. And then I moved back to North Carolina about 9 months ago. And I am now working at Door of Hope Ministry as their secretary and event coordinator. And fun fact, Derek and I are actually coworkers, even though we don't work for the same ministry. Our ministries share the same building, same office building.
Yep.
So his office is at the end of the building from mine, but we still get to interact quite a bit. And with all the other office staff, we have a good time. So I work for Door of Hope. He works for Gospel Express, but we're in the same building. And so we get to interact and be kind of like coworkers. So that's fun. So that's just a little bit about me. And that's about all I got.
Well,
good times.
Anything else unique or something you enjoy? Come on, Jen, you have something. Hey,
I got nothing.
I'll tell you this. Do you want to talk about like your tennis career? Because you're a really good tennis player. I'm serious.
That is not a secret test skill. I do love.
I don't
this
think
is not
a lot of
really unique. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I do have a lot of. I love sports. Love tennis, volleyball, spike ball, all those. I love sports. And I also, fun fact, love riding motorcycle.
Oh, I thought
what were you going to say?
Well, I have another question. Keep going on your motorcycle thing.
So I bought a motorcycle about 2 years ago, and some other people around here have them as well, and we ride together. And that is a lot of fun, something I also always love to do, but none of my brothers or dad ever did. But I was able to get one, and riding in North Carolina is awesome. So what were you going to ask?
What is your so I think this is something that people should know. What is one of your most recent passions?
That was maybe going to be my hot take.
Oh. Well, okay.
Can't jump ahead of the game. Well, we could just go into that. Or
sure.
I think
we're pretty much there.
Yeah. Because we're actually about ready to wrap this up.
I think so too.
But I very much have been against most animals. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Most animals. Not a big animal fan. Not a big dog, cat, pets. To me, they're just more responsibility. You don't need them. There's a lot of negative. I won't say much more because I don't want all the dog lovers to hate on me.
And so logically now
So I decided on the spur of the moment to pay money, mind you, for a pet bunny.
I can't believe it.
My sister sent me a message a couple days after. She said, Jen, she's like, when I heard you got a bunny, I was concerned. And rightly so. She thinks I hit rock bottom because I don't like animals very much. But in any case, I did buy a bunny. I've had it for about 5 days now. And I am pretty much smitten with him. He is the cutest little bunny you'll ever see. He's white with a little bit of brown in him, and I named him Honey Bun.
Honey Bun.
And
he's a pretty bunny.
He's my little honey bun.
I'll give him that.
And I will tell you, we were talking about maybe doing some hot takes, and my hot take right now is that bunnies 100% make the best pets over dogs, over cats, over hamsters. Maybe not horses. I do love horses, but bunnies are pretty awesome. They don't bark. They don't really do anything. They just kind of chill, but they're so lovable, and they will snuggle with you, and they'll like eat carrots out of your hand, and they're just amazing. They
All
don't
around.
need anything from you, but they just give you love, and they're not annoying. So I think bunnies are amazing. Maybe we'll do an episode sometime with Honey Bun on the podcast, and he won't say much, but
No, he will not. That's a rabbit. He
hey,
doesn't
Peter
do
Rabbit.
much.
If you guys ever watched Peter Rabbit, you would understand. But rabbits are amazing.
See,
They're so sweet.
I would actually disagree. Maybe there's a hot take. Peter Rabbit, not that great.
No, I think it was so good.
I personally wouldn't recommend it. But that's just me. So maybe I'll use that as my hot take if you watch Peter Rabbit.
So anyway, yeah. So that's a little bit about us. Derek Miller, Jennifer Most. We are just two
average
single
Joes.
average Joes working for two different ministries in Columbus,
for
North
Jesus.
Carolina. Yeah, sweating for Jesus. Derek
Especially
is.
right now. Good gracious.
It is hot.
It's a warm one.
So yeah, so we're excited. Okay.
Very much so. Sweet, so sweet. So, Jen, I do have one pickup line here that I thought we could bless the people
Our pickup
with. Do you-
lines are going to be a segment
Yeah.
in the future, and so we thought we'd maybe throw one or two in here for
Absolutely.
you guys just to spice things up.
Do you have one as well, or do you want? I can do mine, and then you can.
Yeah, you can do yours.
Okay.
I'll have one probably.
So, ladies, this one's actually for you. I'm gonna start out by giving you one here, and honestly, this maybe is too good a one to start out with, but I really like it. So, what you do
Okay.
is it's especially good if it's after Bible study or it's like at church. It's wonderful. You just walk up to him and say, "Bro," or no, don't call him bro. Sorry, bad start. You just walk up to him and say, "Hey, man, you put the stud in Bible study," and he will be like, literally, this guy will be on cloud 9. This guy will be on cloud 9.
Stud in Bible
You
study.
put the stud in Bible study.
Well, I guess if anybody tries that out and it works,
Let us know. I mean, obviously it will. So please
give
do tell us.
us input on that.
Yeah. Okay. Jen, what you got? Do you got one?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, full send.
I was really prepared for this.
I know.
So yeah, this is whenever you just really want to prove to somebody that there's some chemistry there. So you just walk up to them and you just be like, "Are you Wi-Fi? Because I am feeling a strong connection."
I love that. Honestly,
It's kind of nice.
I wouldn't mind being if someone said that to me.
I would probably go out with that.
I probably would.
Heard it here first.
Heard it first. Nice. Okay, well, to wrap this up, we have been incredibly blessed that we actually have some sponsors for this podcast. And kind of the way it works is we are using the Gospel Express Ministry studio, which is downstairs in the basement, which is available for like any recording of CDs, any instrumentation, any kind of music recordings, and then also freshly a podcast. So we rent that. And so we have had some people that are willing to actually sponsor episodes, which is an incredible blessing. And Jen, we have a very special sponsor for our first one.
Yes,
You want to break
we
this
do.
down for us?
Sure. So our very first sponsor, I'm proud to announce, is my very own brother, Jeremy Most. And I introduced him briefly in the family introductions. But he has generously sponsored this episode, the very first episode of the interview podcast that we are doing here at Express Studios. And just wanted to give him a shout out to thank him for that. Jeremy is a really not only an incredible brother, but he's a great husband and father to his 2 little girls. They are 3 and 1, and they live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Jeremy is a pilot and flies for a company there in Lancaster, and is always inspired me in how he has been extremely disciplined, motivated, and has great vision for what he wants to accomplish, not just for himself, but so that he can create a good life for his family. And he has been working his way up and getting more and more of his licenses and credentials in the pilot world. And I am super proud of him, proud to call him my brother and one of my best friends. And so we just want to recognize him and highlight him and thank him for being a sponsor here on the interview podcast. So thanks, Jeremy. Love you.
Jeremy, what a guy. Thank you, Jeremy and Abby. Shout out to you guys. Well said, Jen. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. His wife's name is Abby.
Nah.
And his 2 little girls are Aowen and Everly. So, yeah, really love them a lot.
Awesome. So if something has peaked inside of you and you want to sponsor an episode, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to shout you out. We'll give a glowing review for you for like the 4 people that listen to this. They will know
Glowing.
the best things about you. So
People will know who you are.
they will. They'll know you. They will. So yes, you're welcome to reach out to us about that. So Jen, going forward here, what can people expect? And take us home.
Yep. So it looks like we will try to get 1 episode out per month at this point, and with hopefully maybe a little more often in the future as we kind of nail down and streamline our process here. But that's kind of the plan. We'll have a new guest on each episode, and we will be posting the information about that on our Instagram page. So if you want to keep up to date with what's going on and with where the podcast is at, go ahead and give our Instagram page a follow. It is called The Interview Podcast. And we're excited to see where this is going to go and excited to have you guys as loyal listeners. We appreciate you. Without you, we could not do what we do.
So true. We have no idea the amount of loyalty or have any clue, but we're hoping for the best. So yeah, very excited.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this first of hopefully many episodes. We're excited to see where it's going to go. And I have been Jennifer, your host, and my co-host,
Derek Miller.
And we'll talk to you later.
Been a pleasure.
Bye.
Peace.